Being a great business analyst is about helping your organization make better and more informed decisions.
Start working before you start.
Naysayers may feel like an obstacle.
This business is really tough.
You're resilient. You are not alone.
What can you do to embrace a culture of change?
This, as you know, is a message box. But this one lets you chat with people at companies where you might want to work. So you can ask them, what do you love about your company? Is work-life balance a thing there? And maybe even, would you mind giving me a referral? Because that referral doubles your odds of hearing back from recruiters. So you can land the job that's right for you. See? Pretty helpful. Find your next job on LinkedIn.
Good morning, Africa! Where are you watching from? Malawi, Togo, Ghana, Rwanda, Ethiopia, Somalia, or you may be watching from Nigeria, or especially joining us live in South Africa. Good morning to you. It's Friday, it's the Sizzler Show, and I welcome you all to today's event where we're going to have a stimulating conversation for young professionals to rethink your careers, maybe the skills you're acquiring, and maybe how to get that ultimate dream job. It's going to be a conversation you don't want to miss. But I may be getting ahead of myself. This might be the first time you're watching the Sizzler, so allow me to put some context and, of course, to introduce myself and how this show works. My name is Stuart Samkange, proudly from Zimbabwe, currently working and living out of Dublin, Ireland with LinkedIn, helping higher education, healthcare, colleges, and nonprofit institutions to plan, hire, brand, and of course, develop the talent that they need. At LinkedIn also, I get the opportunity to travel around many campuses talking to young professionals like yourself. I also get to speak to transitioning professionals that are looking for new economic opportunities. So what do? On Friday, I host that Sizzler Show so that we can help those of you who are looking for jobs as, of course, young professionals, looking for internships, looking for remote work, looking to understand what skills matter in the world of work. Well, you've joined the right show, because on the Sizzler, we get that opportunity to have a conversation and help you identify the right skills and, of course, the insights that will help you find that new economic opportunity. But enough about that. Let me also give you something right away as we get started. As we get started, I wanted to also highlight for some of you who may have missed our previous shows, we've got these all curated for you to watch. We have covered how to hire software developers, AI engineers, how to hire teachers, recruiters, fundraisers, donor relations managers, nurses, and many more professions. There's a QR code on the screen. Take a scan of that, and of course, watch some of those live streams that we've done before, which can help you as a young professional get ready for the world of work. But I don't want to take up too much more time. And of course, I want to check in if you can hear me. So if you can hear me and you're watching this live stream, come on, folks, get into the chat. Let me know where you're watching from. As I said, I'm going to be streaming from a room, a room that's going to tickle your fancy, definitely, because we are going to talk about it as we kick off our conversation. But before we get started, tell me where you're watching from, and maybe to help you get ready to ask questions on this live stream, because it's all about interaction. It's not just about us having a conversation. It's about you asking questions about careers, about, of course, skills, about how to get jobs, how to transition into new professions, and, of course, how to, of course, have a fulfilling work-life balance. That's what this show is about. But in order maybe to stimulate your brains, it's Friday morning, I know. Let me bring in a thought leader who will tell us what it takes to have an infinite mind, because in this live stream, we are going to be talking to an infinite mind. So a quick video, like they do, quick commercial break to stimulate your mind, get you ready to ask questions as I bring up my host. Oh, I'm the host, as I bring up my guest on that Friday Sizzler show. Let's watch this quick video together.
What does an infinite mindset look like in your own career or in one's own career?
So a finite mindset, for comparison, in a career would be to wake up every single morning with the sole purpose of making more money, advancing up in the ranks to get more power, and really putting oneself ahead of everything else. That would be a finite mindset. The problem is, at the end of our careers, we don't get to take any of it with us. And at the end of our careers, as we get more senior, do we feel fulfilled? Do we feel inspired? It's so funny how I meet people sort of in more senior ranks that when they've been driving their careers through this finite mindset, only taking jobs that pay them more money, that they have actually a total lack of inspiration, and they're the ones who are struggling the most, ironically. A more infinite mindset is to view one's career as an opportunity to advance something bigger than myself. That it doesn't have to be at one job, we can make job changes, but each job we feel is helping us advance a cause that we believe in. For example, my just cause is to help build a world in which the vast majority of people wake up every single morning inspired, feel safe at work, and return home fulfilled at the end of the day. And I believe that leaders are our best bet to help build this world that I imagine. And so I've invested my entire career looking for all the different ways that I can either find, guide, or support the leaders that I think are more likely to build that world. Now, it doesn't say specifically what I have to do. And so my career can bend and weave on, is it books? Is it doing interviews? Is it writing articles? Is it teaching? It could be one of these things, some of these things. I could take a job somewhere where I think a company is serving as an example of what the future could look like. The point is, I can use my job and I can use my career to advance the cause I believe in.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I hope that got your mind stimulated and, of course, beginning to understand what it takes to build a growth mindset, an infinite mindset. And, of course, like I promised you, I have an amazing guest for you. And, of course, you did see before, as we were preparing to go live with this event, you saw the fact that I was bringing up a man who's gone through an amazing career, going through multiple industries, of course, fintech, hospitality, and telecommunications, and of course, now leading up as an IT director for a group of hotels. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday. I need your energy. I need your energy. This is the time we use the reactions. The show is the Sizzler. We keep it casual. So help me, please, on LinkedIn. Or if you're watching on YouTube, of course, click like, subscribe, and the notification buttons. There you are, just for the algorithms. But on LinkedIn, you have an opportunity to help me bring in my guests with the right kind of energy that we do every Friday. Hit the like button, hit the heart button, or start dropping in your comments as I bring in my guest, Jose. Hey. Welcome, bud. Welcome.
No, thanks for having me. I hope I can compete with this energy. It's incredible. How's it, everybody?
Hey, everybody. How you doing? In fact, help me say hello to a couple of people that are watching live directly on LinkedIn. I know I've got friends watching directly out of Dublin, Ireland. Leon, good morning to you. And congratulations, bud. I hear you're going to New York to LinkedIn's Talent Connect event. Wow. Folks, if you're on this live stream, part of the live stream is to network with like-minded professionals. Let's see who else we've got on the stream and say good morning. Do you want to say good morning to Wandile?
Good morning, Wandile. How are you, man?
Yep, watching from Peter Marisburg. Who else is watching?
Good morning, Monique.
Oh, yeah, we got people watching from Uganda, mate.
Awesome.
How about that? We got people watching from Tanzania and, of course, my home country. Got to do this, but sorry. Special shout out to Zimbabwe. Yes, my home country.
Awesome.
But we got Batman in the room, and
Absolutely.
we'll get to that conversation. Let's say hello to a couple more people, folks. The reason why I'm showing you and bringing you up on screen is to show you that as you bring up your questions for the man, I will put you up on screen. This is your time to be heard. You join this live stream to network, to listen, to learn, to contribute and share your ideas. That's the whole point of that Friday Sizzler show. Welcome and thank you very much for joining from Nairobi, Kenya. Joe, there's people giving you a shout out already.
It's amazing.
This is my show. This is my show.
I hope. I'm just like worried. The introduction was so amazing that I can deliver on like the smallest level here. So I'm going to do my best.
You're going to have to do your best. We've got an audience that's curious, an audience that wants to learn. But of course, they need to know a little bit more about yourself, and they need to know where we're streaming from, because I did tell them we're streaming from a really unique.
Yeah, that's correct.
room.
That's correct.
Where we're streaming from.
Okay, so guys, welcome to Nicholas's Cage. This is one of our meeting rooms inside of our head office here in Johannesburg, Sandton. It's a very interesting, if you actually scan around the room, there's even some police tape and everything. So we've got the handcuffs here just in case, Stuart gets out of hand. We might just cuff him up and throw him out the room. But that's what the Capital's all about. It's a fun, quirk brand, and it's got a lot of personality to it.
I love it. I love it. Well, I see they've got props in this room. Of course, the handcuffs that you saw. I have the magic prop. As soon as he gets out of hand, I pull away the microphone. But the show is all about you. The microphone is with you. So ask questions. People want to know about you. And maybe let me start off with a classic LinkedIn question. What's the one thing on your profile that you're happy to share with my audience? No, sorry. One thing that's not on your profile that you're happy to share with our audience today.
That's not on my profile.
That's not on your profile and that you're proud of. And of course, where handcuffs won't have to apply in the conversation.
What I'm proud of? That's an easy one. I'm proud of my family, my wife, my son. Those are my biggest prides.
Too cool.
Through all my stuff up, they've stuck with me. So they are not to be cheesy, but they're the reason, man. That's what I'm proud of. It's not really on my LinkedIn profile, but absolutely what I'm proud of. And maybe my Batman collection.
And your Batman collection. My son's going to love you. We got deep into the whole Batman story and backstory, but love it. Oh man, you've just taken away one of my key questions, which is going to be, why do you work? But we'll get to that a little bit later on. Talk us through the headline of your career, your journey. And of course, I put up a couple of the titles that you've played and roles that you've had so that our audience, of course, you can look him up on LinkedIn. We are on the platform. And if you are watching on YouTube, get onto LinkedIn so you can look up Joe's career. But tell us through that career, man. You've gone through a couple of roles.
It's a story, eh? It's an absolute story. So think of it like this. I've worked since I was a little kid. I came raised in a Portuguese household, very strong work ethic, typical thing, put in the shop, run the restaurant for the family. So work ethic from day one. I left high school. I tried to become a pilot. I'm clearly not a pilot. I obviously failed in that regard. I tried twice. I took a gap year. Okay. I took about a gap year and a half. And that's an important one because I didn't know what I wanted to do. All right. And I wasn't prepared to just jump into a degree. My parents were like, you must get a degree. And then we had a big fight. And I said, no, I'm not ready to do this yet. Let me figure this out. And that gap year was beautiful because it showed me the world. And showed me what I didn't want to become. And armed me with it and said, okay, I'm going to make this IT thing that I've had a passion for my whole life. I'm going to make it real.
You're going to make it real?
I'm going to make it real. And I was Rao at the time. It's now the University of Johannesburg. Awesome career there.
I shout out your alumni.
If anyone's there from UJ.
Shout out UJ. I was actually there this week.
Awesome. I saw. Very cool. Very cool. It's very different from when I was there. It's like grown. So it's awesome. It was actually so key to the founding of my career because in university, for my first couple of years, I did the normal thing. I was an average student, right? Because I got distracted by university, the student center, the party life. And then towards the end, you kind of say, I've got to make something out of this. And I went into project phase because in an IT career at a university, you have to go into your final and deliver a project.
Right.
And that's where I met some key individuals who later would become my business partners.
Oh, wow.
And when I became one of the co-founders of a business that just went,
wow.
So we actually,
love it.
It was awesome.
So you didn't immediately go out looking for a job. You hooked up with a couple.
No,
of
I did.
Oh, you did, right?
I did.
Playback.
Yeah, playback. So I actually, because obviously from where I came from, I mean, it came to a point I couldn't afford to stay in university anymore. So I worked right through my university. I worked 2 or 3 multiple jobs, every job I could find, studied at my jobs. And eventually when I got to the end of my degree, I said, well, I can't stick around to do my honors. So I have to leave. And I went and worked for a little IT company with my own personal computer in this guy's lounge for about a year.
I love that.
And then after that, this colleague of mine, this friend of mine at university said, phoned me up and said, listen, you know that idea I was having it at university, let's make it real.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
And at that point, the funny part of the story, I first said to him, no, I'm happy where I am. I've just started earning a double-digit salary, you know.
I'm not about to go on this entrepreneur.
Then I thought about it for a while, and I thought, you know what? Let me not be a schmuck here. This could be an opportunity. I'm young enough to take the risk, and I did.
And you did.
And thank God I did.
Oh, thank God you did, man.
Because that journey was absolutely incredible.
We wouldn't have been having this conversation if you hadn't taken on that journey. And you kind of started speaking to this particular slide that I've put up right here, just to give context for those of you who are watching. I often cover this, of course, with our audience in terms of it's not a straight line when it comes to careers. A lot is going to happen, a lot is going to change, and a lot is...
That picture's not right, eh?
What's wrong with that?
There's about 500 squiggles missing at the bottom there.
He says there's about 500
you need the OMG, the WTF squiggle, you know, there's a couple in there, right?
But you know what? When I do present this, I think the key message I'm trying to get out there for young people is make time for learning. Because as life changes, as your aspirations change, your ambitions, your journey, the skills you acquire, the things that excite you, as all of that is happening in the background, you're going to need a set of core skills that will take you through that. And of course, we'll be going on to talking about skills, but just going back to that particular slide, anything else you wanted to add to in terms of that journey and advice?
Without spending talking about the whole thing long, okay? And you can go to LinkedIn and you can read about it, and you're welcome to ask me a question, anything. Is don't be afraid. There were so many opportunities given along that path, and all of them were unknowns, okay? So it was finding these places where something wasn't being done at the job or in the role or in the space and going, let me do it. I knew nothing about these places, okay? Nothing.
You're being honest.
No, I'm being really honest. So the magic to it was just going, look, knowing that I didn't know. Yeah, I don't want to quote it, but the fake it till you make it thing, to a degree, will kind of save you. But you've got to arm that up with a set of skills and an ambition to aggressively learn and go, listen, I know I don't know this space, but I'm going to quickly get inside of here and I'm going to learn as much. I can listen to what's going on, read as much as I don't, and just move, and not be afraid to mess up.
Yeah, don't be afraid to mess up.
Don't be afraid to mess up. If you're in a good culture, if you're in a good business, failing should not be punished.
Yeah.
Failing forward is absolutely key. So whether you're starting your own business or whether you're working for someone, those are the true characteristics of a successful business. If you look at even the giants that have come and they've gone, their whole history is based on few successes, few amazing successes, which overshadow the cacophony of stuff-ups along the way.
You're using big words. It's Friday. It's the Sizzler, mate. I'm just going to nod my head like I understood that. But we're getting gems of wisdom, folks. And of course, if you have questions, this is your chance to ask Jose questions. And of course, look at that. My excitement is boiling over because I've got a bunch of questions to ask him before you get asking your questions. So you snooze, you lose. If you don't ask questions, I will get to ask questions. Now, before we get on to this little special segment, typically, I do, of course, this live stream where I get the opportunity to help job seekers or to help students or to help transitioning professionals and graduates. And we have these conversations to help them understand what are the best practices, how to get the skills for jobs, how to align your purpose and passion. Now, I was thinking, I usually do this out of Dublin, Ireland, but today I'm in South Africa, and what better way to recall one of the best leaders, a man I would have been fond to have called my grandfather, a relative, a mentor, a coach, the late President Nelson Mandela. Now, to bring the conversation to life, I wanted to do something different, because when I reached out to you, I tried to say, how do you want to have this conversation? And this man said, anyway, Stuart, bring on those questions. I'm ready. So, folks, if you have questions, he said, bring it on.
Please.
But I decided to switch it up. And the way I decided to switch it up, you will see that I've put up a proudly South African brand, Hewlett's Sugar. Am I pronouncing that right?
Beautifully, eloquently.
Eloquently. Now, Hewlett's Sugar, and let me add context here, are not in any way sponsoring this show or responsible for my behavior. I went into a restaurant and I realized that one of the things they do is that on the back end of the sugar packets, they put in quotes for wisdom, advice, and from all sorts of inspirational leaders. And this month, the focus was on President Nelson Mandela's quotes. So I stole some sugar. Don't tell anyone. We're on the live stream. It's a secret. Got some sugar from a restaurant. Shout out to the waiter.
I promise you, we in the hospitality space, we do provide sugar.
Actually, yeah, he was a bit insulted when I showed him this, but it's part of our conversation. So Hewlett's Sugar, like I said, we'll have a quote at the back end of every, that was probably upside down, but you want to hold that up for them? On the back end of every sugar packet, they will have a quote from President Nelson Mandela. So he's going to take a lucky dip, pick out one, and see how that speaks to his career. And of course, before I do that, I've got to say thank you to my sponsors. I said Hewlett's is not sponsoring. Zanele, thank you for this dish. I'll bring it back. Promise. All right. So here
lucky dip, huh?
Lucky dip. There he goes. Let's see what the first question is.
Naturally, the first things I like brown sugar, so let's go brown sugar.
Oh, brown sugar. Here we go. Here we go. Here's the first quote. And like I said, these quotes, we're getting them off the packets of Hewlett's white sugar. We'll read out the quote. And if the question is too sweet, we can pass it back on to you, because this is all about interaction. It's all about you also joining this conversation, not just listening. So what is the first question or the first quote?
So this one is this is irony always, right?
Oh, you're gonna have to speak up.
I'm gonna have to speak up. Okay, so guys, this one is actually quite ironic, because this is hitting the nerve center here. So let's go. The process of illusion and disillusionment is part of life and goes on endlessly.
Oh, did you get that? Should we play it again? Yeah,
so
see a couple of
time.
people. Yeah, listen up.
One
listen
more time.
carefully.
The process of illusion and disillusionment is part of life and goes on endlessly.
Oh, wow. Now, how does that speak to your career journey and the advice you'd give the young people who are watching this chat?
So let me tell you. So in the early stages of most careers, right, where this illusion hits, is that illusion that we're all chasing. You know, I want to be successful. I want to make it. And what's the first thing you want to do is you want to create the illusion, because we're all human beings, right? And we create that illusion at our own peril. We go and buy the fancy car. We go and buy the expensive clothes. We move in circles that maybe aren't the best circles for us, you know? And that illusion is the wrong motivators, okay? And the reality is, like it says, that disillusionment is part of life. That whole process of breaking it down and starting to learn that I've been chasing the wrong things. I've been doing the wrong things. The sucky part is you only learn that from the errors. And you only learn it much later, unfortunately. But I can speak to this in such volumes, guys. If you want me to go to the next one or carry on with this one?
Yeah, we're going to go to the next one. And it says it's a continuum. This is going to happen. Change will come to you. Make time for learning, like I always say, so that you're adaptable. You have the skills, whether it's soft skills, hard skills, behavioral skills, life skills, right? Always be ready to adapt. Like I said, we're making these questions straight out of the sugar bowl and giving you a chance to ask questions. So I'm about to flip over and let you ask questions. But
One more?
yeah, let's go one more. And this time, I'm going to say, let's go white sugar.
White sugar.
Oh, white sugar, white sugar, white sugar.
The ideals we cherish, our fondest dreams, and fervent. It's big words. You're complaining about my big words, yeah? You're testing my English.
On a Friday.
The ideals. Let's start this again. The
Let's start
ideals
again.
we cherish, our fondest dreams, and fervent hopes may not be realized in our lifetime.
Oh.
Now that.
Oh.
You know what the value of this one is?
Yeah.
You know what the value of this one is we set ourselves up for failure. We set ourselves up for failure because
Including the guys who are watching?
no, you know, well, remember, this is my
your story.
my view.
All right,
This
so
is-
we
this
set
is-
ourselves up for failure. You got my
we
attention.
all have a dream, right?
Right.
Okay, and I'm speaking from the experience of having failed on them. Okay, and we have that dream, and for some reason, we put it up there in our mind and we chase it. And when we don't reach it, we chastise ourselves. It becomes almost like a depressive. Well, at least I'm speaking from my own personal characteristics.
Sure.
I had these dreams.
Right.
I had these hopes and these aspirations. I'm 40 this year.
Right.
And I looked and I said, you know what? I didn't reach them. I didn't nail them. And it takes you kind of to say, it took me a lot to kind of look at that and go, have I failed? Did I screw this up? And the initial answer is yes. You go, and you blame yourself and you start going down this bad feeling and it really changes your mindset. And then it takes, and this is why I'll bring my wife and she's my grounding,
shout out to partners.
So she'll bring me back to planet Earth.
Right.
And she'll often say to me, and this is what we don't understand, guys, is when you're chasing this career, when you're chasing this dream, we are so fixed on that end point that we don't start noticing the successes around us, the little wins around us, or what we're doing around us. And that's actually the aspect there, you're moving forward, you're challenging yourself, and you're not necessarily reaching that exact dream. Because that dream, I mean, going back to your squiggly line, that dream it's going to mutate.
It's going to mutate.
Yeah. When I was a young kid, I wanted to be a cartoonist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, nice
I
one.
still have this deep-rooted feeling, and maybe I'll get there. It's either that or I'm going to be a short order cook. So look out for my takeaway van in a couple of years.
I love it.
But I think the point here is master this. Master the fact, guys, that it might not happen. And now don't say don't chase your dreams.
True.
But don't punish yourself. Okay? Reward yourself for the successes around you. And you know what? The good people that you surround yourself with will acknowledge that. Listen and pay attention, because that will keep you moving forward.
I love it. When I first read that quote, it also said, if we're really working, with a purpose in mind, some of the things that we aspire for, we might not achieve them in our lifetime. And that's okay. But you're adding towards that journey of solving for a big problem, whether it's a healthcare issue, and you're adding your research, your work into that. And of course, ultimately them finding something that can make the lives of other human beings better. So live a life of purpose. And I'm so glad that, of course, today we're using the quotes from President Nelson Mandela to anchor our conversation. And of course, I'm encouraging you to add reactions and quotes into the comments chat so that we can bring you up on screen. Speaking of bringing up people on screen, let me just see who else is watching. Let's see. There's a couple of people watching. Help me say hello to a couple of people online.
Hey, okay, there we go. My wife is there. Hey, we've got Ruth, we've got Evodia, we've got Catherine Chivero from Zimbabwe. Here we go. Tatu, Winnie. How's it, guys?
And of course, there she goes. She loves that energy.
There she goes.
Bring out the best in your husband. And of course, he was insisting on putting me on your family Christmas shopping list.
Yes.
He's asked for a list. And he says spare no expenses. All right, folks, we're having a stimulating conversation. I don't see questions from you yet. You snooze, you lose. Like I say, on that Friday Sizzler show, it's about you. This microphone is not just for the two people in the room. This microphone is your microphone. I do this show so that I get you into rooms that you can't get into. Funny enough, today, which room are we in?
Nicholas's cage.
Nicholas's cage. And like I said, it's got handcuffs. How about that? For some fun, because Friday is a fun day. It's a day when we reflect on our own careers and we learn from other people who have transitioned in this world of work. And speaking of transitioning in the world of work, of course, we've already looked at some of the titles that you've held and some of a bit of that journey. Look at you, what are you doing there?
Because everyone always rips me off. It's like, you can't make up your decision, can you? And I'm like, no. And why should I?
I like that. I like that. Don't get other people to force you to go down a career journey, right? Because our parents will influence those that have gone before us. We romanticize careers as well as young people. But of course, ultimately, it's got to be something where we are living a life of purpose. And it gives us joy because we spend a lot of time at work, right? I want to be happy. And that's why maybe I do this Friday Sizzler show. And of course, have this conversation with great people like yourself. So time for another sugar ball until you ask a question. Sugar ball. Here we go. Oh, you went brown sugar again, brown sugar. What is this question? And read it back for our audience.
Sure. Okay. I'm beginning to feel that no metal, not even gold or diamond, is free from the corroding effects of rust. Okay, so now this, I'll probably have a different definition or probably a different explanation.
And so will I. Let's go at it.
Okay. So this one I'll talk to you about early in my career. Well, not early, but at a pivotal point in my career, right? Very successful. We took that co-founding business, telecoms, fintech, awards, and then we got bought up by a listed entity. And like young men, dollar signs everywhere. And what's the first stupid thing you do? You go and you say, you know what, I'm going to get rid of my Fiesta. We bought a car. And I spent a stupid amount of money modifying and this, you know what? And that it was momentary. Yeah. You know? And it didn't matter. You know what I learned as I went through that whole thing? I added things. And I thought, you know, this is going to be what success is. Now I'm successful. And it wasn't. You know, speaking back to your previous statement, the purpose. The purpose is what's there, because all of that tarnishes. Yeah. It has no, you know, materials like that. It has no value. It has no value. It gives you that euphoria in the beginning, but then it dissolves itself. Yes. There are far more important things. That's how I read that. You understand? So it rusts. It rusts. And it corrodes and it becomes of no value.
Oh, wow. I thought I read it from a perspective of skills. And a lot of the people that we interact with on the show are in colleges or in university and getting degrees. And I think that, sometimes we sit back and go, I've got the degree, I'm set for life. But in the world of recruitment, it's about skills first. You're a hiring manager. What's your lens when you're looking to hire young people? Do you look at the degree first and go, that's enough?
It's a bit of both. So look, I have my own opinions when it comes to degrees and that, particularly when it comes to the tech space. Okay. So if you're talking about, if we're going to, let's mutate this.
Let's move this conversation.
Move to skills, right?
Let's move to skills.
If you're in the IT space, right, we just got slammed with AI.
Yes.
Okay. Now, newsflash, guys, AI's been around for longer, way longer than the last 5 minutes, really. Okay. So the skills erode so quickly. Right. If I'm looking for someone in a tech space, okay, so it could be a developer, it could be someone in AI, it could be machine learning, whatever it is. I think what's more important, so a university degree is phenomenal for someone because it gives the grounding of thinking.
Yes.
Okay. It also means that I've got someone who can stick around. No, think about it.
Are you serious?
It's 3 to 5 years. No, but that's it. But that's what it ultimately means. It means you showed up every day and you got it through it. So it means that you'll come to work every day. That's the first thing. Okay. The second thing comes in this space here to this point.
Yeah.
Is if you go into a degree now, it's 3 years.
Right.
Let's look at the rate and the pace of AI and how that's changing. How many times in that curriculum do you think what you're learning is going to be challenged and eroded and rust and become so when it comes now down to those skills, when you're in the IT space or you're in any technology space, I almost feel overwhelmed by it.
Yeah,
Okay? And I'm
yeah.
a person with almost 2 decades of experience. And the point here, guys, is you've got to be prepared to go learn, align yourself and constantly pivot and go, I need skills.
I need skills.
And I'm loving what this is saying. And don't commit to 3 years. Commit to a 6 month. Beef yourself up. Get some world experience. Move to the next. Move to the next. Move to the next. And you're pivoting and you go.
Right.
Because you've got to realize that those skills are going to rust. You can't sit back. When I came into the IT space, you could see the established developers.
Right.
Old methodologies, not prepared to shift. What happened? Tech changes. And before you know it, there's that whole software dev process that used to take them, 6 months, a year to do, was getting squashed down into 2-3 months.
2-3 months, yeah. The business is demanding. We
used to go onto forums to go and find out how to solve algorithmic problems. So in other words, if you had a coding issue, we'd go there. Now you've got Copilot.
That's right.
Sitting inside the .NET IDE and telling you, no, you should have written the algorithm like this. Or it's actually testing the code whilst you're writing it and telling you where the failings are. It's incredible.
It's incredible.
So you've got to arm yourselves with those skills. That's what makes you invaluable. Okay. And it's also good for you because when you learn, we feel good. We feel confident about the decisions we make. And you're still going to make stuff up. Okay. no one's immune to that, guys. And those things you can't learn from anywhere else but the school of life because it will knock you down.
I love it.
Just get back up.
That's it. You just got to get back up. And I love the whole thing about confidence because we live in a disruptive world. And, jobs, you've seen layoffs and all sorts. And of course, on this show, we're also speaking to transitioning IT professionals who might have been laid off. Now, guys, if you have intentionally made it your life culture to always be learning, if you're laid off, you have several options of your next role or even going into an entrepreneurship area. So make time for learning. And speaking of making time for learning, of course, we're on this conversation. We're getting close to the end. You snooze, you lose. If you don't ask questions, I'm going to ask all the questions and hug them all to myself. But of course, part of this discussion is for us to share thought leadership. So what are you learning on this live stream and what are you going to apply to your life? Or what would you like to share with somebody else who's watching? So after this live stream, get onto LinkedIn, add your comments, or right now, add your comments into the chat so that we continue with this conversation. Continue with the conversation, back to the sugar bowl, because let me see, do I see any questions coming up from people watching around South Africa and the world? And of course, watching from around the world, we got people like Abdi, we've got Yusuf watching from Kenya. Thank you guys for joining. I don't see you asking questions. What is it? It's Friday? Come on, folks. I will hug this man to myself. So now we're on to another white sugar.
Okay.
And as I said, with the sugar, for those who are watching, just to add context, maybe you're joining real late. We're not sponsored in terms of the questions that you're seeing here, but we are in South Africa and we decided to leverage quotes that are currently on sugar from Nelson Mandela, from a proudly South African company. So I've got Jose picking from here, and we're relating it back to careers and conversations, and also giving you a chance to ask questions. What's the next quote, and how does it relate to your career?
All right. So I think I almost answered this one a little bit earlier. Okay?
You did? Okay, good.
It is always a source of immense strength to enjoy the support of powerful and faithful friends.
Ooh.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I think in your career, and I've said it a few times, it is going to be filled with incredibly difficult decisions, obstacles, moments where you feel like I cannot move forward. I need to run away. I need to do something else, stuff this job, I'm going to quit. And this is twofold for me.
Right.
Okay. So the first and the most important one is align yourself and surround yourself with individuals who make you feel good. Okay. Yeah. That means that your values and what you're achieving, they don't undermine.
Right.
They really look at it and they go, that's amazing. That's incredible. And they lift you up. And having that support structure is so key. And you'll it's the truth. Everybody says it, when times are hard, the real people in your life present themselves. True. And that not necessarily sometimes always just friends or family.
Yeah.
could be a mentor at work.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, even finding that individual in the office, and it's difficult sometimes because of the office dynamic. You know, you don't want to make these deep-rooted friendships, but it's unavoidable. To your point
Sure.
earlier, saying we live our lives like at 60 to 70. Can't remember the statistic, but it's most of our lives are spent in the office. So have these structures because they will help you see you for what you're doing. Because, like to my previous point, you might be going, "I'm not reaching my dream. I'm not getting there."
Yes.
But then when you look and you turn to everyone, they go, "What the hell are you talking about, man? Have you seen what you've done?" Because the problem is you've aligned yourself to the wrong outcome.
Right.
You've aligned yourself to something that's over there.
Right.
Okay. And you're not seeing these things. And trust me, my wife is probably going, "Oh boy, if this could take a lesson out of his own teacup, or sugar packet."
I love it.
But that's for me. That's for me what
that's
that
for
means.
you. And for me, when I read it, I was thinking, of course, our students is start networking now. Start building up that circle. Even if you're not working yet, intentionally right now on LinkedIn, even on this live stream, who is participating, who's adding comments, and join events, join groups, and intentionally network with like-minded professionals. Now, you might not know Jose, but here's what I recommend. Start following people like this so that when they post content, you learn from it. And then, of course, when you've earned the right, start connecting with those people, because when you are going to enter the world of work, you're going to need this vast network of people who can tell you how to behave, what skills you need, what soft skills can complement that degree that you have, and of course, help you prepare for those interviews. So start networking now. And be always networking, because that network will help you grow into the future. As I said, we got questions and we're giving you an opportunity to ask questions on that Friday Sizzler. Are you a student? Are you a transitioning professional? Have you been recently laid off? Are you, of course, a graduate in the tech sector? Or do you just want to find out some career advice? It's your opportunity to ask questions. And if you're not, I will ask questions. Where here you have a choice. You can go brown sugar or white sugar. I'm being generous here. Here we go. I'm being generous. Brown sugar or white sugar. Do you want to read the quotes, and then maybe we can let our audience hear your perspective. What's the quote you've got up for us right now from Nelson Mandela?
Okay. Few things make the life of a parent more rewarding and sweet as successful children. Now, the obvious.
Say that again.
Okay. Few things make the life of a parent more rewarding and sweet as successful children.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Now, I mean, I can speak to the obvious narrative, right? The obvious narrative, and there is nothing more rewarding. You know, for me, the purpose of life before I had a son was very different. Then I realized, and I said, "Okay, guys, I understand why we're here."
Yeah.
Okay. And everything else is just BS. This is actually the reason. But if we talk about this in a career, let's talk about my space, there was nothing more incredible than I can still remember the emotions. I can remember the hours, the countless hours building applications, weekends, nights, weekends, nights, weekends, nights, you know, and it goes on for months.
Right.
And nothing's coming from it.
Yeah.
You're getting nothing out of it.
Oh.
And then all of a sudden,
right,
the recognition comes, the awards come, you know, the movement comes. And it's a success, but what's even more successful, even more rewarding, is seeing the external opinion. You know, people say, "Oh, I love it.
Love it. Yeah.
I love this thing." And it's changed what I'm doing and how I'm doing. And there's nothing more rewarding from that. You know, so if you apply that to your career,
right,
think of the things that you do in your job,
right,
as your children, because you give birth to those ideas, those concepts, those roles, those projects, you know,
right.
And there is nothing more rewarding than seeing that blood, that sweat, be successful.
Be successful.
Okay.
I love it.
But if you don't, you know, the reality is it's easy come, easy go, right?
Yeah.
So when you do things and it was just, you know, click, 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 there's no. And what I'm trying to get with that narrative is to say, chase the hard stuff. Chase the hard stuff. Because typically what happens is, and I see it too many times, is People want to be successful in their careers,
Right.
but they don't want to chase the hard stuff.
Yeah.
I want the job, man. I want the big salary. But you know what? I just want to come in and do A to B.
Right.
So I want to take the sugar packet and I want to move the sugar packet because that was what was on my JD, was on my job description.
Yeah.
But I don't look for the problems.
Yeah.
I don't look for the opportunities. And it's time and time again, it's proven.
Yeah.
The guys who get are the ones who look for those problems
Yeah.
and chase them, solve them, and feel that reward.
I love it. I love it. Guys, chase problems. Be the one to lift up your hand and volunteer to take on the things that nobody else wants to do. And for those of you who are parents like myself, yes, it's such a joy to see your children grow up and to understand what they actually do. And LinkedIn has an amazing program called Bring Your Parents In. And you bring them into work. They get to meet your colleagues for just one day. They prepare lunch for them.
I'm not going to do that. I might get fired. I'm not bringing my dad here. Dad, I love you.
And for the record, Dad, I love you. And I'm glad you did come into the office.
Oh, you make me feel bad, huh?
We're not together. No, but listen, earlier on, you said you had an opinion, a controversial one, no doubt, or one that would jar our thoughts around education and degrees that we're getting, especially in the light that you are hiring people, and you're not just hiring in South Africa, you're hiring globally, aren't you?
Everywhere, dude.
Well, tell them all about it. Tell it all about. Guys, you should be asking questions. So, education, jobs, careers, boom. Tell us more.
Okay, so let's start. I used to do, okay, so if we go back to the hiring side of things, right? We used to look at the degree, we look at the qualification and experience. Yeah, tick, 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 hire. Fails. And then you start hiring the wrong people, right?
Oh, dear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to, and forgive me because I know you align yourselves with universities and the rest of it. And actually, the funny thing is this, I started to get into this space when I started to see my son at school and see, think to myself, I haven't been in his position in 30 years where he is right now. Nothing's changed. Okay.
The teaching, the curriculum.
Yeah, nothing's changed. Now you start diving in and digging in and you go, oh, nothing's changed for 100 years. Okay. Now, fast forward and you get to university, right? And let's talk about the rate of change.
Right.
So we go and we hit university to arm ourselves with what?
Skills.
Knowledge, skills.
Yeah.
You see, now that's where my conflict comes in. Skills don't take 3 years to learn.
No, they don't.
And you know where the best place to learn skills?
Where's that?
In the firefight, in the trench.
In the trenches, yeah.
Okay.
Best time to learn.
Absolutely. And I'm speaking from my own experience. However, had I not gone to varsity, I wouldn't have made those pivotal connections. So I don't take away from it.
Right.
And I don't think it's a rite of passage that everybody has to go through.
True.
Okay. But what I'm saying to you is it's difficult to say at that age, where do I want to go? So my view is I've got an idea.
Right.
Okay. And do I necessarily need a degree? No, I need skills. So if I had to rewind.
You're right. If we had to take back time.
If I had to rewind and I was entering that space now, but in the world of today, correct? So we're talking about, I wouldn't go and do a degree.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't go and do a degree. Okay.
All right.
I would, so in the beginning of my career, in actual fact, that company we started was a mobile gaming company. Mobile gaming company.
I love it.
We were the most successful failures that had ever existed.
Here's to all failures on the platform.
No, we had
tell your story,
phenomenal.
Yeah.
So let me explain to you guys something. We were the first company, maybe in the world, to successfully pull advertising into a mobile game.
Right. Oh,
so
cool.
much so that AdMob, who now is owned by Google, phoned us and said, "What are you guys doing?" And we explained to them, but the problem was we were so far ahead of the wave. Because there was no iPhone, there was no iStore. It wasn't that time. We were distributing our games. When people used to SMS and you'd get a JAD and a jar file and you'd put it on a Samsung D600. So
you're ahead of your time.
Absolutely. So my point is that I wanted to get, and I still have this inkling in the back of my mind to be in the gaming space. So my point I'm trying to make here is if I go and say, well, that's where I want to be.
Right.
Okay. It's sometimes difficult. We look at these businesses and go, geez, how do I get into that company? Okay. So maybe I would approach it differently. And you said it, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Beautiful example.
Yeah.
Find the individuals in that business. Okay. Find the difficult. Maybe I've picked a difficult industry because it isn't as big in South Africa or in Africa, although it's growing immensely. It's growing immensely.
It's growing so big that on the 4th of September, we've got a live stream on how to hire a game developer. And there are many jobs open. So that's coming up. I'll be giving you a QR code so that you can scan it and, of course, register to be right here on LinkedIn. We'll be talking about what skills they look for, how to get interviewed, and, of course, how to answer some of those questions, right? But onto your story.
So what I'm saying is that what are the skills that I need? And I can go and learn those within 3 to 6 months. What I would do with LinkedIn is I would find the individuals and start following them and contributing. I would even go as far as to say, let me come and work for you for free.
Yeah. Volunteer.
At that age.
Yeah, at that age, definitely.
Because
volunteer.
I'll tell you, if the way that I function and the way that my drive is, okay, and I'm sure lots of you out there have the same thing.
Yeah.
Businesses recognize that.
Yes.
Okay. And what you've done essentially,
tenacious attitude.
Correct.
Yeah.
And what you've done is you've essentially disappeared with all the inhibitors. The guys will go, well, you're going to come and work for me for free. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And you go there and you move and you shoot the lights out.
Right.
Because the natural thing will happen. That's how I would do it. And then obviously during the course of that career,
right,
is upskill. You know, the upskilling, but I mean, in that technical sphere, in the IT realm, is a 3 month, 6 month side of things. I don't discredit, you know, I've got a niece who's now studying in UCT in Cape Town to become a surgeon.
Shout out UCT.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't discredit those types of curriculum. You need that tutelage. You need those years. This person's cutting up people and doing things, you know what I mean? You want to know that they know their stuff. Okay. But even then, those careers, guys, they are going to get challenged.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm reading articles where AI will do and perform basic medical procedures with greater precision than a human being will do. So the industry is going to get challenged, and education has been challenged. I just don't think anybody's had the courage to really say, guys, we have to shift the status quo on education. So that's my view, maybe a bit long-winded, guys, but that's my view.
A great view, great perspective. Of course, want people to jump into that conversation. Yes, I am aligned to the higher education sector. And what I find a little bit frustrating, and maybe I'm taking my chance to moan because you kicked it off so well, is that, you know, I often have conversations with career services, alumni relations, with vice chancellors and leaders of amazing institutions. I mean, you mentioned UCT right now. They've got LinkedIn Learning, which is democratized and made available for students, staff, and faculty members, because beyond the degree, people need to get those skills. Now, back to universities, back to colleges. My frustration is this, and I'm going to go on camera on this and probably go on the limb, right? I'm not going to be too popular after this, is that I often ask, how many people are graduating from your university this year? On average, 5,000 people are graduating from leading institutions here in South Africa, for example. Then I ask the question, how many people are in career services to help those 5,000 people find remote work, learn how to do video interview, know which skills are in demand, which industries are looking for them, know how to apply for jobs, know how to position yourself for success in the first 90 days of getting a job, know how to get entrepreneurial skills that you can do something while you're waiting for a job. I was on a soapbox, but let me get off it. That's my pet gripe, is that if we are intentionally looking to support young people, let's give them insights, let's give them skills, and this might be a bit of a commercial plug in there for LinkedIn, because that's what we solve for. It's that whole thing of employability. How else can we solve for employability?
So actually, I'm going to contribute here. So I'm part of another forum called CIO.
Oh, good.
Okay. And that's a network of CIOs, CTOs across South Africa.
Right.
And it was quite interesting to listen, because they've actually, the businesses, funny enough, have recognized this. And where they've recognized it is, you were talking about what I'm doing with offshoring some of the work,
Yes.
right? Which means that I've gone and gotten skill sets in another country because I couldn't afford the skill sets here in South Africa.
Okay.
It's starting to change, funnily enough, because our rand is doing so badly that even places like India are now shopping for it here. But anyway, the point I'm getting to is that the businesses have realized that, particularly over the last couple of years, we've seen an exodus of skills.
Right.
Big exodus of skills. And they're going, well, what's the problem here? One, the guys aren't getting hired. Two, we're not paying enough. You know, so you're talking about that university student. So what happens? They come with the skills.
Right.
They hit the streets.
Right.
No one hires them. So what do? They pack up their stuff and they go.
They head out.
And this is everybody. Eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So we're not picking on any groups here.
No.
This is everybody.
Yeah.
This is everybody. And what this network has, what they do, and I think it's incredible, and there's a whole drive around it, is let's create these forums where they work with the universities to bring in these bases of individuals, to upskill them, to bring them in, to nurture them, and to help them. And then what you'll find is that they typically move then around the different industry spaces. But to your point, is it happening enough? You know, I think the private sector has to get involved inside of this thing. We need to also look and saying, should we be going and shopping and getting skills overseas? It's difficult because there's business decisions that need to be made. There's budgets and the rest of it.
Right.
So it's a challenge. I mean, I'm not an educator, you know.
Not an educator, but definitely sharing your perspective on this. And here's the thing with universities, and I like the fact that you also mentioned that it needs to be a combination of higher education, working with the private sector who are looking for these skills and are ending up looking for skills around the world instead of looking at home, which is fine. We're all about equitable economic opportunities for every member of the global workforce, including yourself. So we're not tying you down to South Africa. You can work anywhere in the world or even provide remote work from here. But in order for higher education to work better with private sector, they need real-time insights. They need to know which organizations are bleeding and losing that talent, are struggling to hire local talent. And you have a conversation where you say, here's the skills we need as a business.
And in fact, let me contribute to that. Now, I'll talk to my own experience. Let me, I don't mean to cut you off.
Go on.
What sucks when you leave university, okay? And trust me, I'm using mild language today. What really is difficult is you do all of that, you leave, you don't have real skills. That's the problem. The businesses recognize, they go, I can't take this guy on because he knows theoretically how to do it, but it's a lot of energy. So what needs to happen is that last year that I was talking about, We Project, bring the businesses in to get the guys into and your project is based on your contributions at a real job. By the time you leave university, you've got a year's experience.
Done.
Maybe it was for free. It's not for free, guys. That is like value.
Yeah.
You are getting paid hand over fist. I mean, you've got to realize that in your career, in your journey, you've got to be prepared to eat humble pie. Nobody gets there by going, I'm leaving and I'm getting my 50,000, 100,000 Rand salary. Does not happen like that.
Doesn't happen like that. No, not at all. And here's the thing about eating humble pie. I often say, of course, if you look at all successful professionals out there and leaders that you aspire to be, they started somewhere. They did food delivery. They worked in a restaurant. They mixed drinks in a pub. Whatever vocation it was, they stayed hungry. They went out there and got the skills. And more importantly, on LinkedIn, when you're getting those skills, you're getting associated with those brands. And you're telling recruiters and hiring managers that you have that appetite and that tenacious approach to life where you're not just going to sit back. You're going to acquire skills at an entry level, but of course, are journeying towards a career for yourself. Folks, we're right at the hour mark. I want to have one more sweet question, unless there's a live question coming in. This has been a scintillating conversation. Let's see what people have been saying online. Catherine says here, learning should be a lifelong process. Yes, Absolutely. Catherine. And like we said, make time for learning and each one teach one. Whatever you've learned on this live stream, what are you going to tell a student, a graduate, or transitioning professional? Or are you just going to give them access to our site so they can watch this in replay? Let's see, we've got a bit of a long comment here. Do you want to read this back? You better read it.
I think Jose is right. Well, thank you. My wife needs to take cues from you. I'm busy writing my master's dissertation, and for a while I've been feeling like I'm stuck.
Yeah.
So I decided to post one picture on my status, and I got a lot of positive feedback, that is not me, by the way, which made me feel even more motivated to stay focused. Helen, where was that sugar packet? Now I feel like I'm not stuck anymore. It was actually all in my mind. That is, the mind, guys, is a monster. Is a monster, and it rules you like you cannot believe. And focusing on the present there, and not letting that influence you. But the more important thing is you recognize that, and sometimes you got to go to those friends. We had that faithful friends package. It's when you feel disillusioned, guys, and you feel like you're not going or doing the right thing, is talk to people around you, people whose opinions matter.
Yes.
Okay, and let them give you an honest view. That will lift you up, and you'll go, Jack, you're right. I feel so good about that now. Tandakila, that's amazing to hear. Good luck there with your masters, eh? You're braver than I am.
You got this, of course. Thank you very much for that. And of course, she did chuck in one more comment, right? Chase the hard stuff. That's it, guys. You're going to walk away from this with a lot of gems of wisdom and advice coming, of course, from my man. So, your favorite Batman quote, or give us your favorite Batman impression.
No,
what is it? I am Batman. Yeah. So, my son is watching this. We did that one for you. I know you're a big Batman fan. And for those who are not Batman fans, I hope you've been a fan of this conversation, which we could have taken a lot further because we did have a lot more sugar packets to go through. But we're well out of time. It's Friday. We need to release you. We need you to go out there and be fantastic human beings. But before you go, I'm not going to let you get away with it clean. Here's a couple of things that are coming up that you need to know about. Coming up soon on Monday, the 21st of August at 9:30 Irish Standard Time. I hope you heard me right. I didn't say South African time, because today we are live streaming from South Africa. I said Irish Standard Time at 9:30 on Monday the 21st. We'll be talking about how to hire a project manager. There's a QR code. Take that QR code and register. And then after that, speaking of one career we spoke about today, how to hire a game developer. That'll be Monday the 4th of September, 2023 at 9:30 Irish Standard Time. And when we do this live stream, we're specifically looking to help not only job seekers, not only students, not only transitioning professionals, but we're also looking to help recruiters, hiring managers. We're looking to help those institutions that have been struggling to hire these resources. And of course, like I said, I would put up the QR code for conversations we've had before on how to hire human resource professionals, IT managers, how to hire. I lie. We didn't do IT managers, but we did do HR managers, recruiters, cybersecurity professionals, AI engineers, human resource professionals, and of course, we covered such other roles as fundraisers. So we've been covering critical jobs. And today we talked about the technology space. We didn't even talk tech. I love it. We talk life, we talk careers, we talk passion, we talk skills, and we leverage insights from President Nelson Mandela. If you had to look back and leave my audience with a parting summary thought, advice, what would that be as we end off this live stream? And I know I'm putting you on the spot here. First thought is to give, of course, thanks and shout out to your wife who made you the man you are. But for this audience, this global audience that's watching us, of course, young people.
Got it.
Here we go. Here we go.
Got it. Okay. Be kind to yourself. There is no time frame and there is no concrete path. The biggest challenge is that we've got this idea or this perspective that's drubbed into us from a young age that life is this path. If you go back to your squiggles, right? So be kind on yourself and be patient. Anchor yourself and just make sure that you keep moving. Keep moving, falling, moving, but be patient. I'm 40, okay? It doesn't mean I'm the oldest oak in the room, but the reality is, I still don't outright know exactly where I'm going to be. Okay. And I haven't yet reached whatever it is that I'm chasing. The point is be patient and just have that enduring commitment to know. Don't look about, have I reached the final destination? Because I'll tell you about that final destination, which I thought I'd achieved in my early career.
Right.
It's not.
It's not.
Because there's something else, and there's something else, and there's something else. So just be patient with you. If you don't make it, you don't need to make it in your 20s. You don't need to make it in your 30s. You just need to be enjoying the successes of your life, and your career, and be kind on yourself, and just keep learning, and feeding that knowledge base, and thriving, and get rid of the toxic people around yourself that aren't aiding you, the ones that saying, oh, but you're not driving around in this and you don't own a big house. Screw them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look at what values you. Remove the toxic people, guys. Be patient on yourselves and just keep moving in that direction. There is no time frame. Okay. Success could happen at 70, and there's many stories and many past successes you can see. I mean, the KFC guy in his 50s.
Yeah.
There's lots and lots and lots of stories. All right, guys.
I love it. We've learned a lot, and there's lots of takeaways. And of course, got to give it out for, of course, our key sponsor that provides this platform, and of course, to keep my job. So guys, be happy in the comments. This is feedback time. Of course, this has been a LinkedIn live stream where we've had a conversation with a scintillating mind about careers, about jobs. And I love it that you talked about taking care of ourselves, removing those who are toxic, investing in ourselves. Why? Because it's time to shine. You guys hear me? You see me? I post about it. It's a life philosophy. You're living in an absolutely amazing time as a young professional, as a job seeker, because there's so much around you that can help you and support you on your journey. It's time to shine as the individual you are. On LinkedIn, you can tell your story, your successes, your failures, socialize them, what you learned when you went about that entrepreneurial endeavor, what you learned and how you're applying it into formal jobs as you go out into the world of work. It's time to shine as individuals by getting skills that will give us confidence, skills that will give us the opportunity to travel around the world or stay in our countries, but contribute to meaningful careers and journeys and outcomes that we seek and desire. It's time to shine as an individual, taking care of yourself. It's a hard world out there in terms of identifying jobs, applying for jobs, going through interviews, setting up your organization. But you know what? Where there's challenges is where opportunity lies, and it's your time. It's your time now to shine as an individual as you go out into this weekend. Of course, bringing joy to those around you, sharing what you learned on this live stream with somebody else, because hey, each one, teach one. That's what I always say. Absolutely. Does that make sense? Absolutely. Dude, it's been a real conversation, a scintillating conversation. What a pleasure. Oh man, I am so pumped up for the weekend, and I hope you are too. But before I let you go, I want to let you go with maybe a perspective of how other people have overcome this journey of transitioning from career and transitioning into, of course, the corporate world or into a full-time job. How am I going to do that? I'm going to do that by leaving you with a video showing you how other people have started going on that journey of becoming game developers, because of course, we've got the show on game developers. And of course, one last tip, one last video, which will be showing you how you can reach out to your network and get access to economic opportunities. Have an amazing weekend, and thank you for joining us on that Friday Sizzler show. And we're wrapping it up with this inspirational video. Let's get going once I find it. You see what happens when you have too much of a build-up.
It's a technical issue. I can't be blamed for once.
Cheers, folks.
This, as you know, is a message box. But this one lets you chat with people at companies where you might want to work. So you can ask them, what do you love about your company? Is work-life balance a thing there? And maybe even, would you mind giving me a referral? Because that referral doubles your odds of hearing back from recruiters. So you can land the job that's right for you. See? Pretty helpful. Find your next job on LinkedIn.
What got you interested in the game industry to begin with?
Back before I came into Full Sail while I was at school for mechanical engineering, I played video games. I played League of Legends in a couple of amateur tournaments. And when I started to look at that, I remember I talked to my wife and I told her, this is what I want to do.
Did she think you were insane at that point, or what was her reaction?
Yes. The best answer I could just yes.
Making the transition from college to career isn't easy. I'm Rob Humphrey, and I visit campuses and share what tips I've learned to help students get hired. I'm Rob Humphrey here at Full Sail University, getting ready to talk to Lionel Rodriguez. Lionel, tell me about how you made this transition from Full Sail to a full-time job at Electronic Arts.
Since I was very involved here at Full Sail, I learned a lot of things from art, design, development, programming, stuff like that. So I use those skills at my job, collaborate with engineers, designers, and we create features. We make things better.
What game are you on?
NBA Live Mobile.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, great. I want to talk to you about that offline. What's the sort of number one power tip you have for people watching get hired, like people out there that want to transition like you have?
People want to do networking just based on, hey, what should I do to get a job? Or can you help me get a job? And I think you're kind of missing that personal connection. You know, when you have friends, you don't just, take advantage of them or, just do something with them and just disappear. You kind of just keep building that relationship. You transition that into your professional network. That helps out a lot.
I think it's one of the most missed opportunities for everybody career starting.
Yes.
And that is, thinking you just need a massive network. And I think you're approaching it exactly right. Here are 3 tips to have a successful college to career transition. One is dream big. Aim for the sky. And don't let everyone tell you what you need to be doing or what company you need to work at. Tip number 2, own the skills that you have and acquire the skills that you need. Don't know what skills you need? Take a look at job descriptions on LinkedIn. There's 20 million jobs on there. You can look at the jobs and figure out what skills are getting people hired. Lastly, make sure you're connected. Build meaningful relationships, not just virtual connections. I'm Rob Humphrey. Until next time, leave your questions and your comments below.